Well, Jim, our next question sent to CornyDriveThru@gmail.com is from, boy, he put it, and it's hard to see what he put here, Charlie Harper in Carmel, Indiana. Charlie, if you send an email to someone, you should have the text in black and the background in white, not the background in black and then the text in black, so I can't read your name. But maybe he has a good question. Here's Charlie's question.
Oh, my God.
My father grew up in a small town, Indiana. The Boswell Armory was his wrestling spot. He used to talk about the CB radio boom of the 70s. My question is, wrestlers were on the road almost as much as truck drivers. Did wrestlers use CB radios or anything like that during all those hours on the road? Did you have a CB radio and a handle at the time?
Oh, my God. Yeah, every wrestler from, what was it, 1975 or 6, I guess, through the early 80s had a CB radio, at least in the Tennessee territory. I assume any of the big driving territories they did, because that was the craze was brought on by the gas crisis and gasoline crisis. What?
There are listeners who have no idea what a CB radio is.
Citizens Band Radio. Oh, goddamn. Now, how do you explain things?
When was the last time it was in a car?
People who are so young, they're too stupid to know anything. A Citizens Band Radio is a radio that broadcasts on bands that are used by average citizens that don't need to be monitored by the FCC. It's like a ham radio type thing, but it's in your car. And a CB radio, the truck drivers used it because of the gas crisis and the prices of gas in the 70s. They had lowered the speed limit to 55 miles an hour on the interstate everywhere. Everywhere. And no truck drivers nor no wrestlers were going to drive 55 miles an hour on the interstate. And so they'd use the CB radio, because if you saw a cop sitting there waiting, shooting with a radar gun, whatever, you'd get on the radio, hey, Breaker 19.
Breaker 19.
Breaker 19, good buddies, you got a Smokey Bear at mile marker 42 with his eyes open and that kind of shit, right?
The fuzz.
The fuzz. And then the fuzz buster, a radar detector. That was another thing that went along, set on your dash, went along with the CB radio. So you talk to the truck drivers and the other drivers, see where the cops were. And if they shot you with the radar, the fuzz buster would go off. I had a fuzz buster one time in Louisiana, come up over a hill and thing went, I said, shit, I hit the brakes, but it was too late. He had me, busted me, pulls me over. I said, how fast was I going, sir? He said, you were doing 59 and a 55. And I said, well, that's 4 miles an hour. You can't let me slide on 4 miles an hour. He said, well, normally I would, but I see you got a fuzz buster there, and we consider that an unfair advantage. I said, you got $25,000 worth of radar. I consider that an unfair advantage. He gave me the ticket anyway. So the CB radio, yes, all the guys had them. And like I said, they talked to the truck drivers and everything. They talked to each other, and everybody had. I never had a CB in my car. That was kind of going away by the time I got into business. But Mama Cornette got one because she didn't want to get no tickets. And we would listen. Every once in a while, she would talk and say something. Because
did she have a handle?
Also,
did she have a handle?
What was it? Oh my God! I think it was Folger. I think it was because that's what my dad used to call my mom. He called her Folger. And nobody understands that now. But in the 50s and 60s, there was a TV commercial for Folger's coffee. It's mountain grown. And he called her Folger because she was mountain grown. But Teeny had one, and they'd talk back and forth. And every once in a while, I'd get on there and rattle some truck drivers, just mess with them. But the best CB radio story with any of the wrestlers that I've ever heard was Stan Lane and Steve Kern with old Silo Sam, Little John Harris. I've told you this one, hadn't I?
I don't recall.
Okay. So folks, the fabulous ones were Stan Lane and Steve Keirn. They're in the Memphis territory. This is after they had left the first time, and I think they came back for the last run. So it's 84, 85.
Probably 85, if I had to guess, based on Silo Sam.
Right. Well, 85. That's right, because he went to Tennessee right after he fucked up our match at Texas Stadium. Anyway, so Stan and Steve and Keirn especially is, he's always got the CBs and all that stuff and everything. And they're driving down the interstate on the way to Louisville or somewhere, and they see old little John Harris, Silo Sam. He's 7 feet 6 inches tall, and he's got that giant gut and that big hairy beard. And because he came to the territory with no car, he's riding around. Do you remember a wrestler named Tommy Wright?
Yes.
Okay. Well, Tommy Wright has got a nice full-size car that old Silo Sam will fit in, right? So he's driving Silo Sam around to the matches in the territory. So Lane and Keirn on the interstate come up behind Tommy Wright driving Silo Sam, and the window's down. It's nice weather, and Silo Sam's arm is hanging out the door, almost dragging the concrete. His arms are so long, right? And Stan says, we got to do something about this. So as they get up where they're coming up behind an 18-wheeler on the interstate, and Stan gets on a CB, says, breaker 19 for that Consolidated Freightways truck or whatever, right? Well, you got him. Yeah, I just want you to know that you need to get the fuck out of my way. How's that? You need to get the fuck out of my way, pal, with that piece of shit you're driving. If you'll look in your rearview mirror, I'm right behind you. I need to get by you. I'm the biggest man that you've ever seen. Look at my arm is so long, it's nearly dragging the ground right now. I'm 7.5 feet tall, and if you don't pull that piece of shit out of the way so I can go around you, I'm going to just pull you over and kick the shit out of you. Now, meanwhile, Keirn's driving, and Keirn is up on Tommy Wright's tail enough to where, and he doesn't know that it's Keirn and Lane. He just, that somebody's on his ass, so he starts to pass that truck to pick it up a little bit and go around. And as he starts to pass the truck, just out of nowhere, according to what Tommy Wright's thinking, that fucking truck veers into the left lane and runs Tommy Wright and Silo Sam into the goddamn median. And as Stan and Steve go by, they reach out the window and wave at old Silo Sam, who's now mired down in the fucking mud in the goddamn median of the interstate and nearly killed by a truck driver. And no way to tell why he was so mad. Yeah, why don't you pull that piece of shit? Oh, I'm about the biggest man you've ever seen. If you look in your rearview mirror right now, you'll see how big I am, motherfucker. It had kept you occupied on the road.
I remember the promo videos they aired in Memphis to build up Big John Harris, Silo Sam coming in. It was just him in the back of a pickup truck being driven around.
Well, you know why they shot that footage? Because if Eddie Marlin ran all the spot shows, if he was running Selmer, Tennessee, or Covington, Tennessee, or Osceola, Arkansas, or whatever, he'd go down early that morning with a bale of hay in the back of a pickup truck and Silo Sam in full straw hat and fucking farmer gimmick, all 7.5 feet tall and 400 pounds of him, sitting on that bale of hay with a sign leaned up says, "Come see the Giant wrestling tonight, school gym." And they just drive around fucking town. That was the only way that you could really draw money with him, because once people saw him do something, they didn't want to see him again. But just sitting there, shit, I'll pay $3 to see that.
All right, Jim. Well, let's see how much more you'd pay $3 to see. But I have to wonder if when Silo Sam was driven off the side of the road, if he was bothered much, or perhaps he was listening to a good tune on his Raycon earbuds.
Well, I'll tell you, he should have been listening to the CB radio, and maybe he would have known what was going on. But folks, if you've been listening to things, whether it be podcasts or audio books or music or television or whatever, and they haven't been sounding as good as they should, that's because you're not using the Raycon wireless earbuds, the everyday earbuds that look and feel and sound better than ever. And we say that every time. How can it possibly be true? That's because they keep improving these things. They came up with the optimized gel tips for the perfect in-ear fit, and we know they won't fall out. We've talked about numerous people falling from skyscrapers and landing and splattering themselves all over the concrete, turning into jelly with grease running everywhere. But right in what's left of their ears, those earbuds are still stuck in there. The Raycons give you 8 hours of playtime and a 32-hour battery life, and they start at half the price of other premium audio brands. Makes you wonder exactly how these other premium audio brands can reconcile their consciences with themselves for screwing people, doubling the price of their shit. Raycon doesn't do that because they've got over 50,000 five-star reviews. Now, let's just go down this list. What have they got? What have the Raycon earbuds got that you've got to have? Well, three customizable sound profiles. They've also got earbud tap functions. You can tap these things. They do all kinds of shit. You tap one of them, it starts jumping up and down like a daggum jumping bean.
No, it does not. That's not what happens when you tap the earbuds.
You tap the other one, they start vibrating.
No, it doesn't. None of this is going to happen with the things that you're going to be putting in your ears. No.
Well, there's noise isolation. They've got that. See, you put these in your ears and you ain't going to hear anything. You don't even need to turn these on. If you just stick them in your ears, if you don't want to listen to your wife or your nagging spouse or whatever the case, just put these in. Don't even turn them on, but you won't be able to hear whoever's bothering you. And they've got an awareness mode. If you put the Raycon wireless earbuds, the everyday earbuds, in your ears and then set them for awareness mode, you will suddenly and instantly be aware of everything going on in the world and your place in it. And you will be able to answer the question, what is the meaning of life? Because you will suddenly activate your awareness. You've never been so aware. You'll be the smartest motherfucker on your block as long as you're wearing these earbuds and set to awareness mode. But if you tap them again and go back to noise isolation, then not only will you not be able to hear anything, but you'll be as dumb as a box of fucking rocks. You will no longer be aware. Right now, unless you're going to argue with me about that,
I'm going to let you keep going. You can own this one.
Okay. Well, you can go to buyraycon.com right now, today, instantly, this minute, second even, and use the code JCE15 to get 15% off your Raycon order. That's buyraycon, BUYRAYCON.com, and the code is JCE15 for 15% off however many buds you want to get. Get some buds for you, get some buds for your friends. Even get some buds for an enemy. You know, if you really don't like a motherfucker and you send him a pair of these and say, put these in, turn them up loud, activate the noise isolation mode, and they're sitting there in their living room, they're listening to this music, they don't know what's going on around them, pay somebody with an 18-wheeler to drive through their living room. They'll never hear it coming. Raycon wireless earbuds. Buyraycon.com. Use the code JCE15 for 15% off. They'll never hear it coming.
You will hear anything coming that's coming to hurt you, even with the Raycon earbuds in your ear, but you'll be enjoying all the beautiful sounds of anything you hear with the Raycon earbuds. Please support them despite everything you've just heard. Let's move on with the show here, Jim.
You know, it's an ominous sound, the sound of an oncoming train.
Oh, yeah?
All
right, well,
just like that.
I'm sorry to stop you, Mr. Michael Winslow, but let's move on here with the show. Jim, our next question.
Train, take me on down from this.
This next
Blackfoot,
question.
train.